Alright, welcome back as I finish off this short trilogy of intros. So, if you have been around my channel for a while, you might know that I have different playlists dedicated to different topics, and so one of the playlists is titled Intros, and its purpose is to either bring clarity to people who are already have been following me already for a bit and might want to know where the stuff come from pretty plainly and simply, or just if you just entered and you need to, I don't know, you saw something catchy, a title, a picture, whatever, you saw a video, I don't know, and you want to know what this is about. So that's the playlist that you might want to check. There are videos about the origins of this channel, of why I make most of my videos. It's not like most of my videos, but why do I invest such a big amount of time and energy into creating content that is available and accessible at all time. Also about who I am, my personal journey, and yada yada, all that jazz. But let's stay focused on today's topic. And one first thing that I wanted to share about this video is that, funnily enough, the title and also the type of mental imagery that I am going to share as little strategy, as meta strategy that one can use, rather, comes from the word of dark energetic craft. So that is something that I have been personally studying under very specific conditions. I don't think that I will ever spend enough time telling to people in general to be very careful and to do your emotional work first. And it's funny because I re-stumbled. I come from that type of environment, but it was hidden. So it was hidden to me even for quite some time. And after I started doing my emotional work, that knowledge almost returned to me without me doing much to actually go out and seek for that. Nevertheless, that knowledge also returned with a very specific warning about the need for me to stay away from it for a couple of years at least, so that I would finish off my emotional work first and then eventually have the right amount of discernment in order to approach that with an ethical but also safe type of approach. So that being said, something that is pretty popular amongst witches is the practice of putting people into jars. So don't do that. Don't do that. Karma is attached to it. This is something that I have been bringing up in some readings in case of danger, because yes, it can be useful to stay clear from somebody's energy if that energy is actually an actual danger for you. You being triggered by somebody, you're not in danger. You're being triggered, that's your job to work on that, okay? So until you haven't worked on yourself enough to make the distinction clear, stay away from energetic work. It will mess up your life in bigger ways than what you can possibly fathom. If you want to fuck around and find out, suit yourself, but my job as someone who is being public with her spiritual practice is to tell the truth and give all the practical warnings about do's and don'ts. Now, why do I bring this up today? Because the mental image of putting people into jars is actually extremely useful when you are going through hell on earth. So, what is hell on earth? I'm going to try and make this quick. Each and every one of us has their own version of hell. So, there are going to be repetitive cycles that might come from your family, your lineage, your culture, what you have been taught as a child, what you also subconsciously chose to uphold and defend as a naive human being that is developing into an adult. This is something that I find very fascinating. The fact that you being aware of how dangerous and disruptive your behavior is doesn't really have an effect on whether you get karma for it or not. If you are being disruptive, you are meant to reap that type of karma, whether you want it or not. And this perspective is something very interesting. Once you start analyzing your early choices, you might find yourself going through situations and you don't really understand why such thing is going on, and then when you take the time to go back, you're like, oh, okay, but this is what I used to say, this is what I used to wish upon myself. My God, this is what I used to send so much energy in that direction. It's crazy. And right now, of course, I realize that it was a no-go, and but I realize it only now, so now I have to do the work to undo that manifestation. Especially if you're a natural born manifestor, you might struggle with this in particular. Not everyone is, though. Okay, so you are probably going to know. Now, hell on earth. So, I guess that okay. I'm now starting to realize that this trilogy might end up in being a 4-video series where I also tackle the topic of what is a karmic, are you one, and why are you attracting karmics. And this is to say that while you're going through hell on earth, you are probably going to encounter a lot of karmics, a lot of karmic relationships. So those karmic relationships, I'll try to integrate. If I'm going to feel like this subject needs its own expansions, I will take care of that. But in the meantime, let's just define that as people who have heavy karmic debts to pay, and they refuse to do so. And so they try to kind of trap other people into their own cycles or into their own progression. It's kind of like they kind of force other people to save them from the consequences of their own energy. And sometimes people can be very desperate with it, okay? And this can also show up in the form of practical and physical danger for you. This topic, this type of video is extremely important for people who choose to undergo a spiritual journey, knowing that there might be a few things in their own energetic baggage that are particularly harsh to deal with. And until you deal with that, it's like there's no possible progression. Until you have that emotional release, there's no possibility for practical for practical progression. Sorry. And so what do I do now? Right, like I want to be spiritual. I want to embark on this journey. I want to face my shadows. I want to have this emotional release. I want to have these moments that will teach me. I want to let life be my medicine. But I also know that if I do so, if I go in that direction, life will send such energies towards me that my well-being, my current state, my balance could be questioned. So what do I do? So I guess that one first strategy that is extremely important um, uh, to establish spiritual discipline is to find strategies to go back to your state of softness. Okay, so this can be you maintaining XYZ connections, because those connections are the necessary connections in order for you to express your freest and truer self. You don't need to filter your words. You don't need to think about what the other person will think of you. You don't have to anticipate their responses so that they will think that you are the funniest, most outgoing, most perfectest person in the world. Okay, you are just being you, and you know that you are safe. A lot of people rely on connections with animals, especially dogs, because it is known that the dog archetype is the type of figure that forces your heart chakra to stay open, even if, because of self-protection and instinct, life might suggest to the heart chakra to close up. Okay, and it's not healthy. Okay, like this is something that we are trying to avoid. Okay, the closing of the heart chakra, not the other way around. So as you do so, you need to be conscious that your safety, the safety of your spirit, the safety of your soul, is heavily dependent on that. You need to have that type of space. Can even be art, can even be a space where you go and write and unleash whatever. Okay, I'm keeping things general. You need to come up with your own strategies. That is also kind of a big part of this whole thing. But let's go to the juicy part. What do you do when you encounter actual negativity, when you encounter actually nasty people? Okay, people who will act as twisted mirrors. They will show to you exactly what you could become if you fail the spiritual test. Like, if you do everything wrong, this is what you're going to become. This is going to be your reality. You want it? Red pill, blue pill. Okay? Now, let's assume that the answer is a no. Something that I had to kind of wrestle against and eventually coming to terms with, because at some point it was becoming just too much to sustain. I was simply obsessed with the idea of being the most spiritual of them all. So I would do performative forgiveness over and over and over, and people did horrible and simply unforgivable stuff. Like, even from, and I'm just playing around right now, okay? I'm not truly taking God's perspective, but if I try to imagine a divine look on what people were doing to me, I would feel disgusted. No, I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm just a human being. So That's my disgust to deal with. I'm not assuming what God would feel in the situation. It's just to explain exactly what the intensity of what I was going through. And so during my journey, not only I would work on achieving this feeling of forgiveness as quickly as possible. And then also, oh, that's what I was looking for. Wait. Okay, sorry. Because I have forgotten to fix a thing. And then I saw it and I was like, ah, that's the thing that I need to fix. Anywho, back to us. Jars. So, as I was saying, I would try to achieve this feeling of, the state of forgiveness rather, as quickly as possible, and then kind of try to also perform as I would like the other person to act towards me. So what I obtained as a result was that I was dragging along the way a whole bunch of people who were way more interested in witnessing that process of me forgiving them, me acting hyper nice towards them, and them telling to themselves basically that they were also smart because they had played me all over again. And so eventually the cycle would just keep going and going and going and going. So at some point, I just had to ask myself better questions. Am I doing the right thing here? Or am I wasting my precious God-given life on earth with people and situations that I would rather not be involved with? If I had total freedom, what would I be doing with my time? I would definitely not spend that with those people. I mean, they hurt me, of course. I don't even have basic trust, so what's the point here of even having a discussion? That's not someone that I could consider to go out for coffee. I don't really drink coffee, but let's say fruits and pancakes, whatever. So the dilemma then evolved into, well, I still want to remain a good person. Like, I'm at a crossroad and I want to do something about it. I'm done feeling stupid. I'm done feeling like I am being nice for everybody, and literally nobody is taking 1 second out of their busy schedule to be at least neutral towards me. It's people from different places, different ages, just the same energy coming from completely opposite humans, but the same energy over and over again. At some point, I'm either playing dumb with the universe, or I start becoming objective. I start looking at the thing for what it is, and I come to smarter conclusions. And so smarter conclusions resulted in this mental imagery of using jars. So, what are those jars? Those jars are area of your life, are tools, energetic tools that you have, verbal tools, vocal tools, behavioral tools, time tools, work tools, everything that composes your life. And so in each and every jar you have a reservoir of energy. So you have your good jars, and those are filled with everything sweet about you. Your loving energy, your nurturing energy, your lush energy, even your let's forget that time exists energy, your I don't have time, but I can find it for this one thing because it's really important to me and it's really important for my heart. So that is priority. And then you have other jars. That is all internal. You don't really need to put each and every one in a jar. Actually, you can get way more results by working the energy rather than trying to go for a quick fix. So, even if the ultimate goal is to fully accompany these people, these energies out of your life, I would still go and I want to say advertise, but I don't really feel like it's the best word that I could use. Suggest. I would rather suggest the organic way. So other jar. Your FU energy. You effed around and now it's that amount of times. Your that's not who I am, but that's what I learned. And so that's the version of me that you are about to meet today. Why? Because you do not belong in my sweet jar. If you put poison in your sweet jar, the rest of the juices will not necessarily disrupt the poison. The poison might destroy everything else. So you want to be careful, because your sweet jar, that is what God gave you. That is what you need to protect. Performative niceness towards other people, you are placing other people above what God gave you. You are placing the judgment of an external person who is nothing but flesh above what God gave you. You are placing the expectations of a human being who has shown you that they want nothing but you lacking balance above what God gave you. You are searching for God in other people. So how can that make you a good spiritual person? You are betraying your own connection to spirit. You are betraying your own connection to your own heart. By swallowing other people's poison, you are turning yourself into something that will not fit in your own sweet jar. You are moving towards a place where your own sweetness will feel alien to you. And so it's a discipline. And so it requires strength. Life. But I think that the key points have been covered so far. So I guess that the moral of the story is, do not get lost into other people's messes, into other people's negativity, by trying to prove to them that you have a good heart, that you are a spiritual person. And I say this from the perspective of someone who has been in places and situations where I desperately needed someone to just just come through, just save me, spare me 1 hour of suffering, just 1 hour. And it did not come, and it did not come, and it cleansed me. And I cried, and I was desperate, and I had tower moment over tower moment over tower moment, and I was feeling burning from the inside out. This happened to me several times. Spiritual people call it the dark night of the soul. And what I'm trying to say is that what I wanted was to be saved. What I needed was to save myself. I was in a karmic energy, so me placing myself into other people's life, I was going to become this karmic energy that you might read around if you start going down the rabbit hole of spirituality. And that was not what I wanted for myself. That was not what I wanted for other people. And it took me a while to gain this type of awareness, and especially this type of gratitude. I came out of stuff that, logically speaking, I should not be grateful about it. But only God knew how bad I needed that to focus. Only God knew how bad I needed to sit down and regret each and every time where I divested my energy from myself, from my business, from taking care of myself, from recognizing how important I am in the eyes of the universe, and sticking to what very simply is my own path. Not getting distracted with proving, with convincing, with explaining. People are just people at the end of the day. People are just people at the end of the day. And the only person who will truly kiss goodnight to your thoughts, it's you. So keep your cups ready. Place everything in the right place. And cleanse as much as you need. Fix and adjust as much as you need until you can look at life from the glasses of your own cups, and it looks exactly the type of color that makes it so that you feel like yourself. It's unique, but that's your goal.